live once, and you can't be complacent. You can't just sit back. You have to try things. Even if you fail. Failure is so important. I've learned from failures, I apply. Then new challenges will always arise. And then you learn from those challenges and you move on. So I believe it's about prioritizing, having perseverance, dedication, time management.
Ahmed Zakaria, entrepreneur, business mentor, and founder of Binzak. He was among the first to introduce every mobility solution in the UAE. His goal is to empower and inspire the youth to unleash their full potential and chase their dreams relentlessly.
Were you not afraid dealing with a massive brand like Brabus?
I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I find ways to make things work. It's not about finding reasons why things shouldn't work. It's about finding a reason why things should work and can work.
If you're going to become an entrepreneur, you have to go full on. You can't distract yourself for something else, like having a full-time job and then saying at the same time, oh, I want to start a business.
It's a myth. You can easily do it because these are very important aspects of building a business.
Ahmed Zakaria, welcome to Zeno Talks.
Thank you, Omar.
It's an absolute honor to have you here. There are so many ways of how we can start today's episode. But before we go into those questions, let's start with learning a little bit more about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
So first of all, thank you for having me on this amazing podcast. So my journey started many years ago, let's say. I went to the American School of Dubai, so immersed myself in the whole American community of Dubai in the 80s and 90s. Met a lot of people. I got connected with a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures, nationalities, religious backgrounds, ethnicities. So that, I think, is one of the most pivotal moments that really shaped my life, was meeting different people from different walks of life. Knowing that I'm Arab, I'm proud to be Arab, knowing that I'm from the UAE, knowing I'm in an environment that is so accepting, so forward thinking from such a young age. I think these are the most important things that really shaped my childhood growing up. Looking at my father as this role model, my mother as this, role model as well of what they've achieved and what they've done. So these small things really began very early in my life, seeing these kind of things and accepting, understanding the world and how it works and questioning things. Questioning is very important. It makes you smarter and it makes you sort of more intelligent sometimes. The more you question. So that's pretty much the beginning aspect of my life, the formative years, I would call it.
And that's, I think, something that I find very special about you. Like you, for me, you're like a globalist. Like you have this, you're like a global citizen, if I may, and you do connect with a lot of people. But I noticed one thing that was really special about you is some people could even call you a historian or like a modern day stoic, because you know so much about all of these different cultures. But what made you become this inquisitive person to learn about these different cultures and backgrounds and everything else? What was that thing inside you that made you say, you know what, I want to become like a learned person in these different, because you had so many different things going on around you, and Dubai was already like booming and growing so fast and so rapidly that for a lot of people, they were just distracted by these things. But you took a step back and you said, you know what, there's a lot going on here. I want to be able to learn more about all these things that are going on.
For me, it was all about questioning. I used to question everything, just wonder about how things were done, how things were made.
Were these conversations like this at home? Like, was it something that was going on at home? Did you pick it up from somebody, or was it just?
I watched a lot of news growing up.
Okay.
Both Western news and Arabic news. I would hear it in the background a lot. And in school, we would have history class, and I was always intrigued about history and why people did what they did and what were the outcomes of things. So that sort of sparked my interest into understanding more about this world we live in. Like, wow, I'm alive. This world has so much to offer.
Yeah.
Let me learn more about it. So I just started digging in deeper. My quest for knowledge sort of that fueled that fueled me from such a young age. It inspired me. A lot of things inspired me. And I would question, how are things done? So I would sit there sometimes, like in my garden in the house, and just sort of tinker with toys and try to put things together. I built a robot once with a remote control car, you know, just try to understand how things work. For me, that was the most, I think, exciting part of my life, just questioning, learning, understanding. My dad had a lot of Encyclopedia Britannica books. You know, we didn't have internet back then. So we had Britannica. So I would literally take the encyclopedia and just go through and read things and understand things about history, about people, about, you know. So that for me was important. Reading was very important for me. I used to enjoy reading a lot.
Okay. So then now, becoming, you know, this global citizen and a learned like historian and understanding all of this, what did you decide to do next? What was your calling, like as a young man growing up in, you know, Dubai?
Well, for me, at such a young age, I think I wanted to be an inventor for something, for some reason. I wanted to create something new. So I always told myself, one day I want to create something that no one has or no one's done. And so that was sort of what fueled me from a young age. I would sit there and draw like pictures of my idea of building a car and my car brand. I've been infatuated with cars since I think I was born. I love cars. Cars and airplanes, but you know, specifically cars. I would go out in our garage and just look at the cars and polish the chrome of the cars and look at them and sit inside them and just imagine how these were built and what's the possibility. So from a young age, cars really inspired me a lot.
Did you wait till like 18 to get your driver's license, or were you driving it like when you were like much younger than that?
I don't know if I can disclose that here, but I learned to drive at a young age.
It's okay. You won't get in trouble now. You tell people you drove.
I drove at a young age.
So maybe you don't want your kids to know how young you are.
I drove at a young age, but I learned to drive. So I learned to drive the right way. I went through at 17, I started officially driving. In terms of learning courses, taking the courses, and I passed from the first time. You know, that's how passionate I was about driving. I wanted to master it to the T. And that was at a time where, you know, it wasn't that easy to get your license also back then. And it was manual, so it wasn't automatic. Today you've got automatic, you've got a click of a button.
That's true.
Back then it was, you know, you've got to press the clutch and the brake and then put the gear in. So it was interesting time. But that was I think one of my first goals in life was to get my license.
So your driver's license, but then you also have a scuba diving license. You also have a boat license. You also can fly planes. You're also a pilot. Like, mashallah, you did all of it. So like, okay, from cars, how did you get into boats and then planes?
So from cars, I've always loved the sea, the air, and the roads. And so I wanted to explore everything. And so for me, I've always wanted to be a pilot as well. So I've got pictures of myself back in grade 1 and grade 2, you know, with a captain's hat and captain's uniform. And when we used to travel back when I was younger, you know, we'd go. I think we used to fly KLM a lot. Lufthansa, because those were the flights before Emirates. When we used to go to Europe and then to the US, and so I would sit there and on the airplane I would wear my captain's hat and uniform, and then the stewardesses thought, oh, there's a little cute boy, you know, in the captain's outfit. So they'd give me chocolate and I'd pass it around the cabin.
Oh, no way.
To people. So I always wanted to fly airplanes. I loved model airplanes. And then as soon as, you know, the revolution of the internet revolution came out and all these airplane games came up, I started, you know, sitting on the computer and just flying airplane games. I wasn't playing with like those fighting games. No, for me, or Mortal Kombat. For me, it was all about flying and driving. So my passion has always been in those two things. And when I was able to, I decided to fly. You know, it's the most liberating feeling in the world. When you get in an airplane and you just look at what God's created below you, it's just beautiful.
So what are the different aircrafts you can fly now?
So they're mainly, you know, sport light aircraft, we call them. It's under 1 ton aircraft, which usually seats between 2 passengers, maximum 3, but generally 2 passengers. And these are the planes that I enjoy flying. Because it's an exhilarating ride.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to keep looking at all your instruments at the same time.
Yeah.
Same time looking around at your surroundings, looking at
Mhm.
the ground, making sure. So it's like you're driving a manual car.
Yeah,
Basically. You're not really flying on autopilot.
Okay.
And you get to explore a lot of the world. You get to explore a lot of the sky.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about coordination,
Mm.
mind, hand, body coordination. So if you're able to master that, it's a feat in itself.
So by being up there, is that where you had your passion for photography, because you were able to
course.
see the world at a different lens?
Of course.
Okay.
Because from there, you know, you're like in a drone that you're flying, basically. And you see things from a different perspective. Even on a boat, you see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we live in a beautiful city. You know, the UAE is my country. It's my home. I love it dearly. But seeing it on the road is something. Seeing it from the ocean is something, and seeing from the air. They're both magical in all their ways.
Yeah.
And that really sparked my passion. But my passion for photography actually started when I was, I would say, 10 years old. My dad got me my first camera.
Okay.
I just started snapping photos of, like, you know, roses, trees, plants, and cars especially.
Okay.
But yeah.
And just before we go away from the topic of airplanes, you, my friend, were one of the very few people, I think, around the world, and maybe even fewer here in the UAE, who was fortunate enough to fly on a Concorde.
Yes.
Like, not a lot of people can say, hey, I've been on a Concorde. You know, like I remember growing up, and you would see, like, fine, you know one thing about a jet, but then the Concorde, like, and how fast it could go, and I don't know, how quick it can get from one country to the next. So tell us about that experience on a Concorde. How did that even come to fruition?
So not just any Concorde.
Okay.
So we're talking about a Concorde that is a Pepsi Concorde.
Okay.
So April 15th, 1996.
Okay.
Pepsi, it was a time where Pepsi changed its brand. And, you know, my father was the, you know, co-founder of he brought, you know, Pepsi here and Dubai Refreshments, and dealing a lot with Pepsi Cola since the 60s. And so when Pepsi decided to change their global brand image from the red and the blue into just the blue, they called it Pepsi Blue.
Okay.
PepsiCo decided to paint the Concorde in blue and take it around the world, showcasing this new color and new brand identity for Pepsi. And so Dubai was one of the main stops. So from London, they came to Dubai. And obviously, since we're part of the Pepsi family, obviously, we were able to board this aircraft. So we boarded the aircraft. We took off, and we flew over the UAE and a little bit over the Indian Ocean. Reached Mach 2. Wow. And we landed. And it was a surreal experience because I've always wanted to fly on a Concorde. And at 15 years old, getting on a Concorde, that was something else.
That's the biggest flex in the world.
That was the coolest thing. I think I went back to school and, like, what did you do over the weekend? I was like, well, you know, I flew on a Concorde, a Pepsi Concorde, you know. So nice. it was exciting. It was exciting. You know, I went with a suit and everything. I thought it was gonna be something formal. So I put a suit on, a tie. You know, wanted to be like my dad. And it was amazing. It was amazing. I took one of my friends with me, actually. So he actually got to fly on the Concorde as well with me. He was with me in ASD in school. And it was an amazing experience. And they launched the new colors of Pepsi.
Wow.
April 15th, 1996.
That's amazing, man. What an experience. It's an amazing memory to have, you know? Yeah, it's too bad they don't fly those Concordes anymore.
It's too bad. But I thank my dad for that, for giving me that opportunity, for showing me a lot of the world that a lot of people wouldn't have been able to have seen.
Okay. So then so this was all your journey. Now we're still talking about the UAE. You then had the chance to go and continue your studies in the US.
Yes.
Right? So tell us about this transition from the UAE to the US.
So we've always been going to the US as a family ever since, you know, we were younger. We go to New York, we go to Dallas, we go to California, Florida. So the US was always a destination for us on the summer holidays especially. And I've always wanted to study in America.
Okay.
I always wanted to be there, to study there, to learn. You know, that was the thing back then. You know, studying the US or Europe. And in 1998, my mother passed away.
Oh.
And she passed away from cancer. She had it for around 4 years. And that was that I would say was one of the most pivotal moments of my life, where you go from being 17 to 37 in one day. It was tough. But that changed me in a lot of positive ways. It helped me. It made me understand the world we live in, that nothing lasts forever. You take nothing with you. Life is precious. It's too precious. It's short. Explore everything, experience everything within reason, love everyone, respect everyone, and be the best person that you can be. I think these are the most important things that I've learned. And that specific moment in my life is what really shaped me, I would say. Made me the person that I am today, whether it's how I am with my friends or with people that I meet in the street, or that was a very pivotal moment. And it gave me even more ammunition and more of a reason to go to the US and to understand myself even more, to get out of this nest that I was in. You know, we're privileged here in the UAE. We have a beautiful home, beautiful country, every service available for you. You live, you know, everyone pretty much lives a very nice, decent, you know, life. You have a nice house, you have a nice car, you have everything. So propelling myself to the US, I ended up living in a, you know, 4x5 dorm room, sharing a bathroom with 30 odd people. A complete shift. It's a complete paradigm shift, you know, from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Walking to class every morning. You know, I lived in the dorms for 2 years. I would walk to class. I got a bicycle. I got it stolen immediately. I think after like maybe a few weeks it was stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's it. I took up some jobs in the US.
It's crazy because that happened to me too.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks of me in the US, and my bike got stolen.
Yeah. You know, I would walk to class. I would, you know, I would meet a lot of new people, and that I just explore myself, explore my faith, explore who I am as a person, explore my background. Where am I from? Where do I come from? Where do my ancestors come from? All these, it's so important to understand yourself, understand who you are as a person. That really shapes you. And all this, it really stemmed from what happened when I was 13 till 17. My mom's, you know, battle with cancer and then her passing. That affected me a lot. But it made me who I am. And going to the US changed me in so many ways because I was able to understand so many things. So I looked at, I read the Quran at that time. I even read the Torah to understand what is Judaism about. I got the Bible and read it to understand what it's about. And you realize, wow, these things are all connected in a way, you know?
Okay.
So I really opened my mind to so many things, read a lot, tried to understand a lot of people, made a lot of different friends, and then boom, September 11th, 2001. You know, one of the worst atrocities in human history that we can remember happened. And I was in New York actually in August, and you know, because we used to fly from Frankfurt to New York to Dallas. And I remember seeing those towers in August, and then being in Dallas in September 11th. I woke up from my English class at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I saw what was happening. It was horrific. And that changed a lot. I saw the US change from what it used to be to what it is. And that also helped me a lot. That also, I got to see people that were close to you, people that liked you for who you were.
Okay.
And thankfully, I didn't get any backlash.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No backlash. I mean, people were very friendly. People were very supportive.
That's good.
You know, they knew I was from the Middle East, but they respected that a lot. The school was very helpful and respected. So that was a very interesting time for me to experience.
Yeah. So then fast forward, you come back to the UAE, and then your journey in the public sector begins, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you fill us into your journey there?
So 2003, I come back with this, you know, I said, I want to just be an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay.
I tried it out for a few months. It didn't work.
Okay. What was your first thing that you tried?
I think I was trying to start some kind of business development business.
Okay.
You know, but back then it just didn't really work. And so my dad recommended, he's like, why don't you just, you know, try and learn, maybe get a job or something.
Yes. Okay.
So I got a job with a bank in Abu Dhabi. It wasn't a very glamorous job. You know, driving to Abu Dhabi every morning from Dubai back then was different. And I was doing credit limit proposals, something extremely boring. You know, checking people's credits and all that stuff. Wasn't fun at all.
Yeah.
I stayed in that job for almost...
I didn't even know they did that before.
Yeah.
They used to check people's credits here before?
Yeah. To give them loans and all this stuff.
Oh, okay, okay, yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
So
okay.
I was doing that for a while, almost just under a year, I would say. And then I resigned from my job, and I went on my Hajj pilgrimage.
Okay.
In 2004 with a bunch of my friends. and then came back and got another job. That was more in the semi-government sector.
Okay.
Then I don't know if I should name companies or not.
It's up to you.
Yeah, and then I stayed in that role for another year. Started to grow through the ladder slowly,
Okay.
slowly. And then while I was in this second job of mine, I got an opportunity to do a deal with the government,
Okay.
my government. And I did a deal and I succeeded really well.
Yeah.
And I was offered a position
Yeah.
there. And that position was at the ruler's office at that time in
Okay.
Dubai, the Department of Finance. And I was appointed the treasurer.
Nice.
The role I held for 2 years. I was pretty young, but doing cash management and the treasury function for Dubai government was really exciting for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something very different.
Yeah.
Coming from a background of an economist. So
Yeah.
I studied economics at university, financial economics. And then my journey just started to begin. Doors started to open. My journey started to begin. I decided to take my first MBA, did my
Okay.
first MBA. I started to grow through the ranks. Left there, went to Dubai Holding after that, worked at Dubai Holding for several years. And then I did another sort of degree. And then I landed to where I was today. And in between, I wanted to build and develop different businesses in between. I just had
Yeah.
ideas all the time of
So-
what to do.
So and this is the question. A lot of people it's always like a debate.
Yeah.
They always say if you don't give 100% of something, then you'll never be successful.
Yeah.
And then there's always this debate at the same time when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur, where they say, if you're going to become an entrepreneur, then you gotta you have to go full on. You
Yeah.
can't just distract yourself with something else, like having a full-time job and then saying at the same time, oh, I want to start a business. Everybody's like, no, you got to just take the leap of faith, exit what you're doing in terms of your full-time job and get directly into it, because you won't be successful. So how do you think, were you able to dispel that myth?
It's a myth because everyone is different. You're different. I'm different. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everyone can do things in different ways.
Yeah.
So I believe it's about prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritizing your time, making sure, number one, there's no conflict. Being ethical about things, prioritizing your time, having perseverance, dedication, time management. These are very important aspects in order of building a business. Time is very important. So you've got to give yourself adequate time. And at that stage in my life, I was very focused on being different, of building something. Number one, educating myself was very important for me. Because at the end of the day, what's an education? Education is something, it's like a backpack behind your back. It's going to give you that support, that knowledge, So for me, that's important, having a solid education. And then applying whatever you can in the aspects that you do, or the avenues that you do.
Yeah.
But you can easily do it. But you've got to give adequate time and respect to the place that you're working, if you're a full-time employee, and also to your business.
Has it been challenging? Because, I mean, look, you are you're a very dedicated son. I know you spend a lot of time with your father, your wife, your kids, job, and you have multiple different businesses. Are you able to manage this?
Sometimes. But they're trade-offs at the end of the day.
Okay.
The trade-offs, and I'm blessed to have a family that's
And your friends. I forgot to mention, you also dedicate time with your friends. I mean, you have time with your friends, and you spend a good amount of time with people.
Yeah. I mean, look, my family has been pivotal in all this because they're super supportive.
Okay, that's good.
In everything I do.
Yeah.
So I understand that it's challenging, but you only live once. You only live once.
Yeah.
And you can't be complacent. You can't just sit back, and you have to try things.
Yeah.
Even if you fail, failure is so important. If you don't fail, you don't learn. You don't understand.
Yeah.
You have to. And I've failed in multiple businesses. I've succeeded and I've failed in some. But that's what makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And my journey's not over yet. My journey is just beginning.
Yeah.
So will I fail in more businesses? Will I succeed in more businesses? Whatever I've learned from failures, I apply. But then new challenges will always arise. And then you learn from those challenges and you move on.
So,
and you better yourself
Yeah.
each step of the way, you better yourself.
So you talked about the different entities in Dubai that you've worked at. So then what are the different businesses that you've entered that you have, I guess, succeeded or failed that you want to talk about?
So one of the first businesses I started was back in 2008. I started the first domain business here.
Oh, okay.
Ever since, I think since 1999, since the World Wide Web came up, when I was in college, I had a credit card that my dad had given me, and I used all of that basically
To buy different domains.
to buy different domain names. So I had thousands and thousands of domain names. Don't ask me why, but I thought of it as, virtual real estate.
Okay.
And that's what it is.
Good.
It was
Yeah.
virtual real estate. So I bought a lot of domain names.
Any ones that we know now that you can talk about?
Maybe not, but there are some. There are some. There are
Okay.
some that I can talk about.
Okay.
And I would buy these names, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them. I was like,
Okay.
okay, one day I want to build a website for
Okay.
this, for that, for this car business, for that. So I accumulated thousands of domain names.
That's amazing.
And I'm sitting there paying fees. My dad's like, why is the credit card getting maxed out? It's because I'm buying domain names in college as a student,
Yeah.
an 18-year-old student. I kept doing that till I left college. And then I came back to Dubai, and then I said, you know what? Let me put this to use. So I signed up with a charity here based in the UAE. I said, and I launched the first domain business that 10% of returns of each domain I sell goes to this charity.
Okay.
So that really inspired me a lot. I had
Okay.
really cool domain names. And whatever I would sell, I would give 10% to this charity. So we had a great agreement coming up. I kept that business for several years. I made my money on it. I did well. But then I shut it down. So
Okay.
I was like, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I just started doing different things. 2014, I started the first scooter business here as well. I would import scooters from China, white label them. I had a brand called Easy Rover, put them in different areas. Sell them online. And then sort of that, again, weaned a lot when a lot of fakes started coming into the market. So that business was successful from the very beginning, but then I shut it down. But one of the most interesting and surprising business that I ever got into was my passion back in 2010
Okay.
with a lovely company called Brabus. So I never in a million years imagined that I would be connected to this mega brand, this global mega brand in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I knew the family that owned Brabus for many years prior to that. And we've always maintained very cordial, very friendly relationships, brotherhood relationships with the son of the founder of the company specifically. And when the opportunity came for him to expand into the Middle East, he said, I want to come in to the Middle East, into the UAE, but I want to do it not through a dealer network like traditional companies do,
Yeah.
but I want to partner with someone that we can trust and that we can grow. And so the son of the business recommended me, and I knew the father really well.
Yeah.
He would, every time he'd be in Dubai, I'd meet him, I'd see them. So, like, Ahmed, would you be interested? Here's a 29-year-old, getting introduced to Brabus and saying, yeah, why not? A lot of naysayers. Oh, you can't do it. You can't do it. It's too big. It's too this. It's too that. But we did it.
That's
We signed,
incredible.
and in 2011, we opened our first workshop in Al Quoz in Dubai.
Yeah.
And it's been a beautiful journey ever since.
But were you not afraid entering something? I mean, you said it was your passion,
Yeah.
cars, obviously,
Yeah.
but then, dealing with immediately a massive brand like Brabus and how will you actually make it work? And
Look, I'm extremely passionate about what I
Yeah.
do, whatever I do. And I find ways to make things work.
okay,
So
that's good.
So for me, it's not about finding reasons why things shouldn't work.
Okay,
It's about finding a reason why things
should work.
and can work. Finding solutions.
Yeah.
So in the very beginning, it was about finding solutions, talking to the right people,
Mm.
going the extra mile, going out of your comfort zone sometimes. And it's how you present yourself. It's how you speak. It's how you talk. It's how convincing you are. Because when you're convincing how? You're convincing by stating facts, stating a purpose, stating facts, giving a reason, and an outcome of what you want it to see and what the benefit will be in the future. So putting all that together, we were able to get Brabus to where it is today.
Yeah.
It's a mega brand, and it's doing phenomenally well in the UAE and globally, especially here in the Middle East. We've just opened our first boutique experience center in City Walk just a
Nice.
few days ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have a grand opening on the 16th of February in City Walk, so it's going to be exciting. That's sort of the new look of what Brabus is all about. This young, dynamic, futuristic brand that really takes cars to the next level. Not just cars, motorbikes, boats, the next level. And it's been a real journey. It's been one of the greatest journeys, I think, of my personal entrepreneurship experience. Dealing with people, dealing with something that you love,
Yeah.
passionately, and it's cars.
I mean, so like, what's next for Brabus?
That's a golden question. So many things. There's so many things in the pipeline. Recently, we've just now expanded the brand into several different car companies. So previously, Brabus was focused primarily on Mercedes-Benz. We have a joint venture with Smart, obviously. That's been going on for 20 odd years. But then we've expanded now into other brands. So we've launched Porsche.
Okay.
We've launched Rolls-Royce. And
Nice.
we've launched Land Rover with specifically the Range Rover Vogue.
Wow.
We've gone into a different avenue of motorcycles as well, partnered with KTM.
Okay.
So we've built now the second edition motorcycle with KTM. We've gone into the marine business with a company called Axopar based in Finland. So we've built boats now. We build boats, incredible fast boats.
Yeah.
And we've also gone into watches.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we've partnered up with a company called Panerai Watches, which you know.
Oh, yes, of course,
Yeah.
Panerai. Yeah.
And we've
Everybody knows
built,
Panerai.
we've done an exclusive collection of almost 100 watches with them,
Okay.
carbon watches with Panerai. I think they're valued around $50,000, if not more. But what we've also done is we have,
So this is already in the market?
it's already in the market.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Are
It's-
they going to be in the store when we come in?
Those watches are now limited edition.
Oh, okay.
So we're not going to find the watch in the store.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I can tell you that the cars that we built, so we built something called the Brabus Masterpiece.
Okay.
And the Brabus Masterpiece is a car that encompasses everything that we do in Brabus. All the carbon, all the interiors, the engine upgrades, the wheel upgrades, the exhaust, all that is called a Masterpiece Edition car. That's the finest edition of a Brabus that you can get.
Mm.
It comes in a beautiful box. The key comes in a beautiful carbon box with the papers and all that. And inside the car, if you know, Mercedes-Benz deals with IWC watches.
Yes.
So we don't have an IWC watch there. We have a Panerai watch there instead.
Oh,
So not many people know that.
Interesting.
So you get a lot of people buying, fake Brabuses out there, trying to put fake kits on their cars, but then you can always tell because of the small, fine details
Yeah.
that many people don't know about. So the brand is super exciting, and the
Yeah.
the future of it is super exciting. And I'm proud to say that here we are at Brabus Middle East. So we're the Middle East headquarters
Yeah.
for Brabus for the entire Middle East region.
Wow.
And
So does everybody else bring their cars from the region, Saudi Arabia,
people
etc.?
bring their
Qatar,
cars
they'll come
here.
bring the cars here?
We appoint dealers in different
Oh, okay.
parts of the Middle East as well.
Okay.
That's how we sit. And in the UAE, we're the main distributor and dealer here in the UAE
Yeah.
as well. And the future is super exciting.
That's amazing.
Like-
Let me ask you this. You said something interesting. You talked about fakes and counterfeit.
Yeah.
So how big of a problem are these counterfeit Brabus in the market?
It's a huge problem because let's talk about one specific vehicle. Let's talk about the G-Wagon. The G-Wagon retails a standard G-Wagon between 900 to 1 million dirhams,
Okay.
brand new
Okay.
from the dealer. And a lot of people will buy this car, spend that kind of money, or buy a used one for like 600, 700,000. And they would go to shops in other Emirates or even here, and these shops would import kits that are made in China or made in certain Eastern European countries. And they would put them on. And they would cost nothing. They would cost like maybe 50,000 dirhams, 100,000 dirhams, not even, for wheels and the whole package. And then they would put them on these cars that are worth 1 million dirhams. So number one, it's a safety hazard. It's a safety risk because if something happens,
Yeah.
it's catastrophic. Number two, you're really ruining the image of the brand at the same time.
Yeah.
Because what we do, we do things meticulously with detail. You've visited our
Yes.
workshop, you've visited our showroom, you know how we act and how meticulous we are with all the fine details. So it's become a huge, huge problem. Not only that, what many people don't know is a lot of dealers would have these cars and sell them as originals, but they're not originals. So we would get customers coming into us saying, we need to get this repaired. We're like, sorry, it's not an original car, but I bought it from so and so and so in dealership. Like, sorry. So they're buying cars for 1.5 million, 1.6 million dirhams that have fake kits on it or fake interiors, and they're selling the cars, telling people that they're real, but they're not. So we have a huge problem, and we're working now with authorities to tackle that problem.
Yeah, I was about to ask you because, I watched that movie House of Gucci, and I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I have.
And
Yes.
you remember there was a moment towards the end of the movie where they realized that there was so much fake Gucci going around. When I think it was the help in the house. She was carrying like a Gucci bag, and then they asked her, "Where did you get this from?" She said, "Oh, I got it from the street." So I guess all successful brands, unfortunately, sometimes they say imitation is flattery, but in this case, it's not really. It's almost damaging to the brand and everything. But then maybe, Ahmed, maybe some people might argue and say that also kind of builds or brands awareness.
It does,
right?
It does, absolutely. That's why I always say it's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
It's good in one way, and it's bad another way.
Yeah.
How is it good and how is it bad?
Yeah.
So it's good that you see the B everywhere, you see the Brabus everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
The bad part is when you look at that car, you're like, wow, the quality's not that great.
Yeah.
Why? So it's a double-edged. From a branding perspective, marketing perspective, it's putting our cars out there.
Mm-hmm.
But from a safety perspective, from a detail perspective, and from a quality perspective, it damages it.
I'll ask a personal or sensitive question.
Sure.
Have you ever had a friend that got a fake Brabus kit?
No. Never.
No one.
No
Okay,
way.
that's good.
I've known people.
Oh, they weren't friends.
They weren't friends.
But they're people that you know.
They would send me, be like, I just bought this car. I'm like, great, but it's a fake. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Can I return it? I'm like, it's not me. You have to go check the dealer you bought it from. So yeah. But my friends,
so sometimes it can happen like not intentionally.
It's not intentional.
Can someone? So how does
it's not
how
intentional.
how does someone verify if they're going to be getting?
I think even some of the people that sell them don't even know that they're real or fake because they're importing these cars from Europe, and so they don't know.
Okay.
But it's the guys that buy the cars here and then take them to garages, knowing that these are fake because they're obviously 80%, 90% cheaper than the original one.
Okay.
And so Brabus is this exquisite brand. It's like a Rolex. It's
yeah. Of course.
When you're successful,
yeah.
What happens when you're successful? You get people that don't like you, right?
Yeah.
And when you're as a brand, when you're successful, you get copycats. Like how many copycat Rolexes are there? How many copycat APs are there? Gucci bags, etc. What we spoke about. So I think this is it's common. It's been happening for many years globally.
Yeah.
And I think legislation is passing globally for this. So we're working on a global perspective. It's not only a problem here; it's a problem everywhere. Yeah. We have this problem in China. We have this problem in Europe. We have this problem everywhere.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you, like even the Brabus team, like Constantine in Germany and stuff, do they face these issues too?
Of course,
there,
everyone's facing this. Yeah. It's a big issue.
Okay.
But again, we continue doing our business.
Yeah.
As it is.
Of
Rolex
course.
doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Brabus doesn't stop.
100%.
We just keep innovating. We just keep building.
Yeah.
And I think that's our ethos at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
then, okay. So you got into Brabus has been your major success so far.
It's been a defining moment for me. It's something that's connected to me on a very deep level.
Yeah. So something that's started to rise on social media is Bin Zak Motors. What's this about? Like you're not really talking about a lot about it.
Yeah, you've got to tease a little bit before you launch. So
is that going to be a show? I guess for next episode or something, a story for another episode?
Possibly another episode. Yeah,
but I do see. So is that up and running? People can go make their orders.
It's up and running to a certain extent, but it's not based here yet. It's based in Europe currently.
Okay.
But sooner or later, you're going to hear a lot more about it. So I have a lot of things in the pipeline for that.
Okay.
But again, that ties in with my passion for automobiles, my passion for cars.
Is the automobile industry growing? Are you afraid that, with the way that Dubai mentions that how they want to design the city, they want to make it more walkable, they want to make it like a 15-minute city where you can just walk from one place to another, and the rise of public transportation in more locations than it is. Like even now with the RTA announcing new routes for new train tracks
Yeah.
or metro tracks, is that something that might, impact the business in a negative way?
No, because again, our brand is very bespoke. It's
Okay.
very niche, and we can sort of cross into every other avenue. So we've crossed into motorcycles now. We've crossed into boats. We've crossed into compact vehicles with the smart car, and a lot more coming up soon as well. So it doesn't really affect our business from that perspective. Yes, the global world is changing. The reliance on basically different sorts of energy is changing around
Yeah.
the world. But is it something to think about? Yes. Are we prepared? Yes. Do we know what we're going to be doing in the future? Yes. And so there's a lot of innovation out there
Yeah.
when it comes to electric vehicles, when it comes to combustion engines. And the future is beautiful, and there's so much potential that you can get into all these different avenues and still be successful.
Yeah.
So are we worried?
No.
Not at all.
Okay. So then, going to close this session, my last question to you is, first, you kind of hinted on the Bin Zak Motors that yes, it is already present in Europe and everything else, and might come here. But first of all, what's next for Ahmed Zakaria? And secondly, of course, what is your major advice that you would like to give to people who are in that space, who have a full-time job, but also might want to get into business as well?
So first of all, my advice to people about getting into business is, number one, be fully dedicated to the position you hold or to the job you hold. 'Cause that's integrity, that's ethics.
Okay.
Give it your 100%.
Yeah.
While you're there, whether it's from 8 to 5 or 7 to 4, give it 100%. Do not distract yourself. And that's what I do. I give it 100%, 120%. I dedicate there. And after that, I'm able to focus on other aspects. And my reflection time is at night. Either early morning, because I wake up early, is my reflection time, and late at night where I'm able to reflect and plan and prioritize and whatnot. You have to prioritize, number one. You have to plan. Planning is essential for everything. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you don't plan where you want to be in the future, if you don't plan what you want to do tomorrow, it's going to cause a ripple effect. So dedicate your time to your full time, but focus on your passion. You have to focus on your passion.
Yeah.
You have to think outside of the box sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to be creative. You have to try the things that people will tell you no. You'll get a lot of naysayers.
Yeah.
Omar, don't do this. Omar, no, it's going to take up too much time, too much money. Oh, that business has failed before.
Yeah.
If we keep listening to naysayers, we will never move forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes your biggest enemy is the person closest to you. And your biggest fan is the person that knows you the least or is further away from you.
I agree.
So it's so important, number one, keep things private. Don't say what you're doing. If you're working on something, keep it within yourself. One or two people that are in that network, focus on that, because you need to focus. And the more you say, the more you plan, the more you talk about what you plan on doing, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, a lot of it's not going to materialize. So keep quiet, be focused, work hard, learn, read, understand what does your customer need, and I think you'll be successful.
Yeah.
These are the most, I think, important elements. What's next for me? I'm excited to see. The best is yet to come, as they say. And I'm super excited to see where my journey is going to take me. I have a lot of passion. I have a lot of passion and energy still to build something new, to create something new, and to think outside the box. And I'm excited for failure and I'm excited for success.
Yeah.
I think these are two most important things.
Amazing.
But one thing I can always say is be thankful. Be thankful for every single thing that you do. Everything good, everything bad that happens to you, or unfortunate, just be super thankful. And one of the things that has given me so much peace in life and direction in life is my relationship with God.
Yeah.
If I don't have a relationship with God, then
Yeah.
I've lost everything.
Yeah.
So God is pivotal for me in my life, in my decision making, and where I go and what I do. It's so important in every aspect of my life. And if I have that, I feel safe and I feel secure. And that's what gives me my security, and that's what gives me my direction, because I know I have someone watching over me. And never neglect that. No matter what you believe in, no matter what your spiritual believes in, no matter what religious belief you are in, where then they were all the same. You know, have that positive energy, have that positive connection with the Almighty.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, focus, persevere, and dedicate yourself to one thing that you know is going to work. And never lose faith or heart if it fails. On the contrary, pick yourself up. You're going to get disheartened, but pick yourself up again and say, what have I learned? How can I apply that? That's the most beautiful thing in the world, is creating something out of nothing and creating something new and learning from past mistakes. And that's why I tell you, the future is beautiful. I'm excited to see what I have coming up next.
Amen.
Thank you.
Ahmed Zakaria, thank you so much for joining Zeno Talks today. And we're looking forward to seeing the next episode.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.